It is, and I'm going to talk big picture about the Pac-12 real fast. I have a recent history: Rose Bowl against Washington, national championship game against Oregon, USC in the Cotton Bowl. And Brady, the scouting report was fairly similar for the last decade. Elite quarterbacks, elite skill, very average offensive and defense lines. Look at this chart right here. This is amazing. This is last 5 years, top 3 rounds in the draft. This is offensive defense line. The SEC has 52 draft picks, Pac-12 12, 4 times as many, over 4 times as many. However, I went back and watched Alabama, LSU, and then I watched USC, Washington. Normally it takes you about 5 plays to see the difference. I don't see that difference anymore up front. I see a little bit like when you're a player here. Yeah. There's very good offensive defense lines in the Pac-12. That's why I have them as the number 1 conference in the country.
And the number 1 conference for quarterbacks in the country as well. As we saw last night, let the cannibalization of the Pac-12 schedule begin. So Utah goes down. Mark, when it's all said and done, who's the survivor from the Pac-12?
Listen, Rob, like Coach said, the Pac-12 is loaded. It's the best conference in football right now, and it reminds me a lot of the SEC when the teams would just cannibalize themselves and beat each other. We already seen it last night. Oregon State taking down Utah, so it's going to be a survival of the fittest in the Pac-12. But the most impressive team to me this far has been Washington. Michael Penix Jr., his 3 receivers, legit ballers. All of them are averaging over 100 yards per game receiving. So I think they have been the most impressive team in the Pac-12, but it's going to be a survival of the fittest in the Pac, man. USC, Oregon.
You know what I mean? Your crowd. You got a lot of USC fans here, man, you know?
No. We got enough USC love right here. Yeah, you know what I mean?
The reality of the Pac-12 and trying to make a case for being a national champion is a byproduct of their schedule. Look, they played 9 conference games. You look over the college football playoff era, there's only been one time a team has been able to play 9 conference games and win a national championship. And that was actually during the COVID year when Bama had to, because that's normally what the SEC likes to do. So the reality is, this is the deepest conference. We talked about the quarterback play, talked about the trenches now have gotten better too. That's going to create chaos. I know that's something that you
love chaos.
And I don't know that you're going to get a Pac-12 team in purely because there's so many good teams beating each other up. That's just what history's told us. That's probably what's going to play out this year.
I'm telling you, the last 6 weeks of this season, when Oregon and USC and Washington, all these teams play each other, it's going to be a challenge. I see it where USC and Washington, in my opinion, are on a collision course to get to the Pac-12 championship game. I agree with you. I think it's a toss-up between those 2 teams. They do play each other in November. There's going to be fireworks at the Coliseum. I have USC getting to the college football playoff really for one reason. They have the best player in America in Caleb Williams. But Michael Penix Jr., as you said, probably the second best quarterback in the country. And both of those teams have much improved defenses from a year ago. So, but Brady, you're right. I mean, if someone goes unscathed, it's going to be difficult.
And that's just not a Pac-12 problem. That's any other conference. If you look, if they play 9 conference games, the Big 10, Big 12, we haven't seen them be able to get in the playoff and win a national championship. And you're 2 times more likely if you play 8 conference games to get into the playoff in general. So the 9 conference games really is what ends up being their demise.
For one more thought on the Pac-12, we welcome in our gaming expert and college football overall guru, Chris the Bear Felica. All right, Bear, how do you forecast the Pac-12 through December?
I think you're forgetting about a team, UCLA. Yes, the Bruins lost at Utah last week. Dante Moore's first Pac-12 road start. But they have the best defense in America, allowing the fewest yards per play in the country. Moore is only going to get better, and you guys have been talking about it. UCLA doesn't get Oregon. UCLA doesn't have Washington on the schedule. There's going to be an opportunity here when they play SC later in the year where that game potentially could decide a berth in the Pac-12 title game because all the other teams in the Pacific Northwest are going to start knocking each other off. So don't forget about UCLA, even though they picked up that loss last week.
Chip Kelly smiling somewhere in the South Bay right now with those words. Bear, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here. College football on Fox.